I mean, music was the one that I paid the most attention in. And but even that was like new for me, and because actually, yeah, I'd never been into, I hadn't properly played music or anything before that, and that was kind of my obsession back then. That was my thing that I was into, was music, and that's what I ended up going to do at university.
What instrument?
Um, at the time, I played guitar and piano.
Wow.
I got I hadn't learned piano, but I got really obsessed with it, like again, which meant that it quickly overtook my guitar just because of how much effort I put in, um, despite having never had lessons or anything. And I was wrongly, incorrectly seen as like a freak because people are like, you haven't had lessons, you're like amazing,
Oh
and it's
my.
like, yeah, but I do this for like 5 hours a day. Like, like whenever I'm not at school, I'm playing piano, and often when I am at school, I'm in a practice room playing piano as well. Um, yeah, and then so I did at uni, but I actually did composition at uni, so I didn't have to play anything,
Okay.
because compared to like a properly trained musician from like who starts from like 5 years old, I was rubbish at piano and still am. Like I'm good enough to look like, oh, he plays piano, but any proper pianist is like, not really.
I got you.
Yeah.
Oh, you said something interesting about like the fact that you would always find a new thing. I was wondering how many like new things you had, because for me, I would say that I was the complete opposite. I'm like the kind of guy that finds one thing and like I go all in. So like from 13 to 22, my thing was being a distance runner. And
Hmm.
in that time, I had a really nice progression, really nice. And basically, I started as like a kid who, probably had some, a bit of talented, just a bit, but more of a product of working hard. And by the time the end of my career came, I was the best on my, let's say, cross country team. My final year at a Division I university, which is, in American collegiate athletics, that's the highest one. So
Mm.
just to give you an idea of my timeline.
Yeah, yeah.
And after that, I started like writing poetry. I'm like, huh, these would actually make good song lyrics. So I'm like, let me learn the guitar. And that became like my thing up until 2014 when I moved to Mexico. Then all of a sudden, languages became that thing.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
would say that I've had like three kind of real big passions in my life.
Yeah, I wish I'd held anything for that long. In school, mine were generally 2 years, and probably in my 20s, they were like 3 years. And now I'm sort of trying to find ways to almost trick myself into, uh, and sorry if you can hear my son in the background, but I'm trying to find ways to trick myself into holding something out for longer. So thankfully now my Swedish is at a level where I can explore other things in Swedish. So
Excellent.
I'm almost kind of trying to find a new, like, and a new topic of interest, but in Swedish,
Of
so that
course.
I'm actually trying to get to a level in one thing where I could be more articulate about that in Swedish than I am in English. Because, like, I've never talked about XYZ in English,
Of course.
but I still haven't found that thing. So,
So my first real question is, there's many stories of people like that, of not having success in high school language classes, and even their teachers telling them very demotivating things. Like there's many cases of this. Do you think in your case, there was a bit of that came back around when you did decide to learn the language? That you're like, oh, this experience in high school, and all of a sudden you're like, no, I want to show myself that I can learn a language. I'm not garbage. That, you know.